What is consciousness? And what does it mean to truly live life awake? Welcome to Clarity to Consciousness, a podcast where we transcend beyond stereotypes, embracing a deeper understanding. I'm your host, Kristen Griffiths, a fellow seeker on this path. Join me on a journey as we dive into conversations with experts, unraveling stigmas, and expanding our awareness to something profound. This is your invitation to open your mind with me as together we bring clarity to the fascinating complexities of human consciousness. Welcome back to the Clarity to Consciousness podcast, where we seek to clarify the complexities of human consciousness. I'm your host, Kristen Griffiths, and today's conversation is about conscious entrepreneurship. But this isn't just for business owners. I'm talking about being an entrepreneur for your own life, creating intentionally, leading yourself with clarity, and saying yes from alignment and not from obligation. My guest today is Dan Sachkowsky, a serial entrepreneur, podcast host, and a coach whose journey is a true testament to the resilience and transformation he experienced. Dan didn't always have success. In fact, he pulled himself out of bankruptcy, not once, but twice, and rebuilt not just his business, but his mindset, his energy, and his life from the ground up. Through that process, he discovered that true success isn't about how hard you push. It's about how clearly you align. And over time, he developed a framework for conscious achievement that blends mindset, energy, and purpose, helping others create from authenticity rather than from fear. It is my pleasure to welcome Dan to the show. Dan, I'm so excited to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for the invite.
Oh, it's so an honor. I've been looking forward to this for weeks. So I've had an opportunity to listen to some of your work. You've had such an amazing journey. It hasn't always been easy, and you've had to rebuild from difficult situations like bankruptcy. How have you become the person you are today, and what did that process look like?
Well, the truth is I have overcome a lot, 2 bankruptcies, a heart attack,
Wow.
a bunch of stuff throughout my life. The truth is I become a better version of myself every single time I fail. Most people think that you become better when you become successful, but I feel like every time I fail, I become better because it brings me to the next level or stage of success. You know, I hit bankruptcy at 24 and having a heart attack in my 40s, 2 different life situations which were totally different, but it taught me a lot. Also throughout the last, I would say, 30 years, getting betrayed by people that you trust and, losing things, especially businesses that you build from the ground up. Every single time I feel that life broke me, it built me stronger in a process where I felt like I was stripping away pain, but at the same time using the pain to become almost the fuel to go to the next level, where I look at the common person in today's world where every time something bad happens, they become paralyzed and they become stuck and they let it become their identity. And, a child dies or a business fails or whatever. Now, this is your identity. This is how you live for the rest of your life. And, all you do is put your life on stop. And we only have one time here, and we have an opportunity to be great and our best every single day. And I had to realize that the process of moving forward wasn't about guilt. It wasn't about disappointment. It wasn't about my ego. I had to realize that I had to prove my life to myself. I had to show myself how I could be my best self, show myself what my awareness was, what my purpose was. And over the last 26 years, I feel like, I've learned so much about myself. I've built myself to the highest levels where I am today, and I'm going to continue to build to higher levels. And when every man, especially men, like I talk to men, especially because men are the worst. Men want people to feel bad for them. And I feel like women persevere, right? Women go through so much stuff, all the emotions you go through as a mom, as a sister, as just a girl in the house. I feel like men have a little bit more of a free life than a girl. So girls have to go through and fight through so many things. And, men always want to feel bad for themselves and think that other people care. Right. So we have to be strong as men for number one, our children, number one, the females in our life and everyone around us. And if you're going to look at the generations today, all these men are weak, because, mommy wants to coddle them and hug them. I never had the opportunity where I could just run to my mom and go hug her and she was going to coddle me. She said, go, you got to keep going. Stop complaining. That's kind of the life I led. But I knew that nobody was going to feel bad for me. And I had to use all the failures in my life to become stepping stones for the next part of my success.
Was there a moment when you realized that growth isn't just about the things that you could build, but actually who you were able to become?
Yeah. After my heart attack in 2022, after I went bankrupt at 24, I started hiring a coach. I think the biggest thing back then was I didn't ask for help. That's why I failed.
Mm.
I think that genuinely, like, we have so much pride as individuals, we never want to ask for help. We want to do everything ourselves. There's an expert in every place in this world, and they're available for us. So I realized early in life that me not asking for help led to ultimate failure because I had no guidance. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just trying to learn as I went. But as I caught that and I saw myself in a position that I thought I was doing good and I thought I was serving, my heart attack happens 3 years ago, August 2022. I had all this stuff, the houses, the cars, the companies, everything. And I realized the one thing I wasn't was present. I wasn't there. The moment shifted from like chasing success in my life and everything I thought was success to starting to become a person of significance. How can I be here? How can I, get the things that I deserve, but also give other people the things that they deserve instead of just going after what this big picture is. I wanted to become a servant. I wanted to be able to be a person who could serve other people because at that point in my life, I realized like I thought that was my last day. And just
Wow.
laying in the ambulance and all the emotions and everything I was going through, you just kind of like, you're like, what the hell was I doing? Like I wasted so much time where you just try to redirect your focus.
Wow. That must have been a really scary experience. Well, thank goodness you're okay. Any other gems that came out through that experience that you wanted to share?
So I'm a big guy of faith, right? So I believe if God's not done with you, God's not done with you. And ultimately, like I think so many people think that, everything they deserve in life is just going to show up. I think that was a wake up call. And
Yeah.
a lot of times when people give up on themselves and they don't want to be their absolute best self and they have a heart attack, maybe they will die. Maybe they will go on because maybe they're not serving any purpose here anymore and they just have no will or desire to do anything. I don't know. But I know that at that point, like what came out of it was that looking at life as just this picture of like, hey, I have this many years left, just came to the day where like, hey, I have today left. And
Wow.
it just really helped me to put everything into perspective that everything I do is to be on purpose for today because someday isn't a day in a week and I may never reach someday.
Wow. It's a powerful lesson. Hopefully people can learn that without having a heart attack to really truly embody it. So you speak a lot to entrepreneurs and we probably have some entrepreneurs listening, but also people who they're just trying to get through their lives and do it in a way that's serving them where they feel like they're able to be present and in control, and sometimes that's challenging for people depending on their work. You did a episode recently where you talked about being a yes man, and I think this speaks to women, I think, a lot, but we people please, so yes women. um, and your episode really spoke to me, and I would love to hear what inspired this conversation. And can you talk to us a little bit about, how does overcommitting disconnect us from who we are?
Yeah. So I lived that like, I think all of us naturally are people pleasers until we get stomped on enough and we realize, hey, like the footprint hurts more than anything else, right?
Mm.
So I said yes to everyone, whether it was clients, staff, friends, family, whatever it was. And what I felt was I was leaving myself drained. There was no time for me. And then I also realized that like I was resenting other people when I was like, "Hey, can you help me out?" And now they're no longer available for you when you need them, but they always want you to be available for them. And I had to really realize that there were so many episodes in my life that I look back on that I was saying yes to people where I had to say no to important things. So we
Yeah.
lose our identity in other people's priorities and we allow their priorities to almost become something that we become obsessed with because we feel like if we say no, they're going to be upset with us. So saying yes from a place of like serving and pressure, to me, it feels like it steals like your peace. And it really makes people walk all over you because if you say yes to this, this, and this, you're going to say yes to everything. And they almost expect it. And it doesn't allow you to build your life for purpose, and it takes away from all the moments and things that you've got to do for yourself first.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. I think that that's a lesson that have been learning and still trying to master. You came up with some pretty practical tips and also some pretty logical reasons to why saying no is important. And I remember one of them being people will respect you if you put boundaries in place. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. What I think about you putting boundaries in place is that when you start respecting your time and you start telling people in a place where, hey, listen, I would love to help you, but here's what I'm committed to, or I have to do this, I have to take care of myself first. Now, what that starts to do is it starts to set a neutral ground where it's like, hey, listen, it's not that I don't want to do this, but I have to do this. And you're going to have one of two things happen with people. They're going to get pissed at you because you're no longer available for their needs only, or they're going to respect you because they go, wow, this person's actually like taking their time serious and valuing their time. And these are the people that you want in your life. So you have to ask yourself a question like, am I saying yes to something because I want to do it? Or am I saying yes to something because I don't want to disappoint somebody? That's always the question, right? So if there's guilt behind the yes and why you're doing it, that's called people pleasing, what you talked about. If there's alignment and conviction in what you're doing and it's serving a purpose, then it's not going to drain your soul. It's going to fuel you and whoever else you're serving. So there's a fine line on what you should say yes to and what you shouldn't say yes to, because you got to realize that, listen, I can use a moving example. There's movers out there. There's guys on the corner who will work for $100 a day. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I have something to do. Like if I were open and I had nothing else to do, yes, I would help you do it. But I'm not going to miss my kid's sports game, or I'm not going to miss this, or I'm not going to put off a client because you need me at that time. And this is what people don't understand. People always have a need of you at the convenience of them, where that's not the way life should work. Same thing with a customer, right? So a lot of times in business, when you're a business owner, you get a customer who like, hey, can you do this for me? Sure. Can you do this for me? And now as a business owner, we feel obligated to do that because they're a good client. We don't want to lose them. They're paying us. But I mean, if you go to a restaurant and you order more food, you pay for it. If you go to a grocery store and you want something extra, you pay for it. So yes, I can do that for you, but it's going to cost you this. But I think something internally as like a business owner, we don't feel obligated to charge our value because we don't want to disappoint the end game. But you'll actually build respect because they'll then either say, okay, yes or no, based on the value you're presenting. But if things are always free, hey, things are always free.
Yeah. You use the example of you'd get clients that would make promises to you like, oh, I've got all these people who want to do the same thing and I'll send them your way. And then they don't truly come through. And you talked about those being bad clients. And I think even if we're not entrepreneurs, we probably have bad clients in our lives. And you talked about sometimes you have to fire your bad clients.
I was actually just on a phone a few hours ago with a new coaching client doing an onboarding call. And, he got stuck at the money, like what it was going to cost per month. And, told me something bad just happened. And I'm like, something bad's always going to happen. And he's like, hey, man, maybe I'll be your best mentee. Like you'll mentor me the best and I'll refer you out. Just start working with me. I said, bro, it doesn't work like that. I said, at the end of the day, like you'll be my best mentee if you pay me, because if you pay for results, you drive results. Like everything in free holds no value. So like so many people as well, if it's free, it's for me. There's no value there. Everything got to cost something. It has to cost time. It has to cost money, whatever it is. And I said, bro, the only way that I would work with you is if you paid for my service, and my service is my experience. It's my knowledge. You're paying for a shortcut, so you don't have to go through all the bumpy roads that you're going to go through, that you're going through right now. Best referral is your success story, not your promise. And he's like, all right, and he just paid you what he had to pay. But people don't understand, like, there's no negotiation in life. Like, we don't negotiate every day. We wake up and we go after it, and we can't negotiate with the outcome. We're either going to be a part of it or we're going to stand there and watch it fall apart in front of us. And, that's totally up to you.
Yeah, and when it comes to saying yes to things, I often think about like, what does it feel like to me internally? Because, sometimes it's hard to figure out why, especially if you're people pleasing for most of your life. It's sometimes it's hard to tell the difference. And I liked what you had referenced. And for me, it's like, how does it feel inside? If you're inside thinking like, hell yeah, I want to do that. Like, that's a great sign. But if you aren't like, hell yeah, then that's a no.
Yeah. And again, a lot of people, I think throughout our lifetime, we just say yes because we feel obligated. But there comes a point in your life where you start taking your life serious. You're putting yourself first, and nobody puts themselves first. And that's the biggest problem in this world. They put everybody else in front of them.
No, it's this mentality of being selfish is a bad thing.
Yeah. It's the best thing. You should be in your best health. You should be getting your sleep. You should be getting all the things that you need first, because if you're not excelling at your best, you won't be able to ever perform for anybody else at your best.
You often speak about building from clarity rather than chaos. What does clarity actually feel like? We're a big fan of clarity on this show. So what does it actually feel like? And how can listeners access that in their everyday lives?
So this is actually pretty simple. So what clarity feels like is clarity feels calm, right? It's not a racing hard. It's not second guessing things. When something is ultra clear to you and you understand it and you feel it, boom, it's right there. That's when you go after it. But if it's making you anxious, if it's got you second guessing, and it's not like a yes right away for you, and you feel it, you should probably not do it, because a lot of people don't realize that if your decision doesn't align with what you're doing and what you're trying to do, it's going to totally throw you off track. Right. So by not being clear in things that you're doing and what you're saying yes to and what you're putting in your world, it creates ultimate chaos. It creates confusion. It creates that navigation remapping, because it doesn't know you're going off track and it's trying to get you back on track. So now you're panicking. You don't know what's going on. All these different things start to happen. So if you feel something and you're just not clear if it's what you're supposed to be doing, the best thing to do, I think, I tell people, is just sit down, journal, write it out, see how it feels coming out of you, and see how you feel connecting with the way you're writing it, right? Or sit in silence, because we react on emotion. Hey, what are you doing Saturday? Nothing. You know what I mean? Hey, I have a business idea. Great, right? Like, take in the information, think about it, process it, see how it makes you feel, then deliver the answer. But most people never hear their intuition because everything in their life is way too loud. So they don't allow themselves to just step down and be like, that feels good. That doesn't feel good. We react based on emotion. So it's like cause and effect. It's everything that happens in our life.
Yeah, I think that's such an important point, especially the one that you made about we don't give ourselves time to think and be calm. It's like I think about my life, and if I don't make the time to actually allow that calm, think about what I want to intend for myself, my day will get taken away like very easily. I mean, you start at 5:30 and then you just go, 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 go. It's especially true for me as a single mom who I have a full-time job and a podcast. I mean, it's just so intense. So
Yeah.
you really have to make that time.
100%, because saying yes to the wrong thing and not being connected with the right way that you should be doing things and being clear on it can totally destroy everything you're going after.
Is there a pattern that you had to break to live this life that you're living now, which is one that's much more conscious?
Yeah, I think it's the same pattern everybody has: control. So
Hmm.
everybody's a control freak. Everyone wants to do everything themselves. Everyone wants to do everything this way because it's the only way. And when we try to control things, we try to control the outcomes, we try to control the people, we try to control the timelines, we try to control everything based on the actual situation. And the way that I look at control now, it's fear in disguise. Like, we're scared to allow other things to happen naturally the way they're supposed to happen, because we're feared that it's not going to come out the way we want it to come out, which necessarily probably isn't the right way. So I learned that the biggest thing for us to do as entrepreneurs, as parents, as, just people, is we have to trust the process and we have to learn through the process. And we have to go through things without giving up. Like we have such a high I quit level in this world where people try. Like I hate that word. People go, I'm going to try it. I go, well, you might as well not do it, because if you're only going to try it, you're just going to try it. And you're just going to say, I tried it. You're either going to do it or you're not going to do it. And when I started leading with faith, not force, I started putting myself in a position to just like trust that this is the direction I'm supposed to be going in and everything will work out the way it works out. My life was so much easier. I had no stress. I didn't have to worry about it. I just kind of let it align the way it was going to align.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, I talk to business owners like my clients and I say, like, here's the biggest problem. And you've said it before. I've said it before. Everyone said it before. Like, if I can only have another one of me, why can't people just do it like me? Like, that's the most selfish thing that we could say, because at the end of the day, we suck at so many things, but that we think we're good at. And there's people out there that are way better.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't see that because our way is the right way. It's the way that we know and nobody else knows different. And most business owners today, like, feel that way. Most moms today feel that way, right? Like another mom tries to give you advice. You're like, I got this, right? Because this is the way we are. Like, I'm raising my kid. This is how I'm doing it. I'm in business. This is the way I'm doing my business. And we don't ever want to take advice because we look at it as someone's trying to critique our fine momentum that we really don't even have.
Yeah. Something made me think about a question that I really wanted to ask you. We haven't really had a chance to talk about like all the success that you've had, and you've had a lot of success, but your definition of success has changed over the years. Can you talk about how it's evolved and how you define it now?
Yeah. So in the beginning, like, I chased money. I thought success was houses, cars, all this stuff. I thought it was money because I grew up super poor. I didn't have money, and all I wanted was money. And I made money my object. So I didn't realize that by chasing money, I would do this forever. And having material things really didn't matter because they didn't make you who you were. They didn't create your identity. They didn't create what people would think of you. In the back of our mind, we think if we roll up with a nice car or we have nice clothes on, this is what people think we look good. Oftentimes what I see is the people who are the most stressed are the brokest, you know what I mean? But and the people who just show up because they are who they are the wealthiest in all areas of life, whether it's money, whether it's family, whatever it is. So success to me looked very different in the beginning. I started to realize that success was not money. Success was all about the freedom I had in my life, the execution I had in my life, the legacy I was leaving in my life, everything that I was doing that was going to go beyond my life, right? So people are not going to remember the car you drove. They're not going to remember the house you live in. They're going to remember the things that you did for them. And character is success for me. So my character will long live me. My legacy will long live me. And that's what people will always remember. So a guy I was talking to on the phone earlier, he's a guy who builds my funnels and stuff. And he goes, you truly, like, I've worked with so many people, and you truly are a guy who like works from abundance. Like, you want people to have their best. I said, bro, like, to me, it's not about money. Money is secondary. If we can all win, we all win. So everyone that I bring on my team now, like with everything I'm doing now, nobody gets paid. We bring value, then we get paid. Because I want everyone to perform at their best. And once we perform at our best, every single person is a plug to what we're doing here. And every one of us has to be our best to get the best result. And then we just divvy out whatever the money is. So too many people lead with the importance of, hey, I want to get paid, or I'm leading with money, or I'm leading with this. And I've changed the whole way I've done things, especially the way I onboard people. I want you to bring value. I don't care how hard you think you work. How many times you hear, I work so hard? Everyone works hard, but how much true value do you bring to the hour? That's what really matters.
Yeah. Thank you for that definition. I think that's really helpful. So, how do you think that we can bring more self-awareness to the small daily actions that we do to help shape our lives?
First thing you have to do is you have to ask why more often. Like, why am I doing this? Why am I reacting like this? And that one pause will change your entire day. It'll change everything about it. It'll help you reflect on the reason why you're here, why you're participating. And awareness of why isn't about fixing everything. It's really about noticing like what's either draining your time or what's fulfilling your time, and acknowledging, certain things that you can and cannot change. Most people don't ask why they're involved with certain things. They just do them. They don't look at the outcome. So I brought this to even a higher level, like with my kids. When I got divorced, right? So
Mhm.
I got divorced and everything fell, apart in front of me, my business, everything. I had to build everything from the ground up. And even when my kids were younger, I would always tell them like why I was doing everything. This is why I'm doing it. We're going to do this. We're going to go here. I work every day. I'm on the phone every day because of this. I created a why, which was my mission to complete for them. So if someone went up to my kid and was like, yo, daddy works so much, your dad works so much. Well, yeah, but we're going to go to Aruba in a couple of weeks or a couple of months. That's why he's working. They would know why I was doing things because I would put like the end game. Like I'm doing it all for this, doing it all for this. So even my kids today, older as they are, like we don't lead with money. We don't follow things for money. We bring value first. We
Mm.
allow money to follow. And as long as you do that, you tell people why you're doing it and you have the right intentions and you figure out why you're doing it and you pause for a second because my son's 21, my other son's 19, and at that age, like so many things come across your lap, even like girlfriends, right? And I'm like, think for a second, like why do you think you like her? Why do you think this is an opportunity instead of being excited for the moment and then drained at the end?
Yeah. Uh, that's interesting because I often think about the fact that we need to do more observing of our own selves, and your why question reminded me of that. But maybe it's also the why behind is also the goal that we keep in mind. It sounds like, and you're teaching your kids and you taught them from a young age to be goal oriented, to have that intention behind every action.
You have to do everything with intent. And like I said, the intent has to be something that helps more than just you.
Yeah. Yeah, one of my favorite coaches always talked about living life with intent, not by default. And I
Right.
love that. Well, this has been such an amazing conversation. I so appreciate your time. I want to finish up with reflecting on a few questions that I ask all my guests. The first being, what's one key takeaway you want our listeners to remember about living as the entrepreneur of their own lives?
Well, one thing I tell everyone is that you can build a business that outgrows your mindset, like something beyond you, something beyond what you can see right now. You have to build first internally who you want to become and then start being that person. And then the business, the relationship, the success, all that stuff will follow. I always tell people like you'll never be able to generate anything at a level that you're not ready to accept. Meaning,
Mm.
whatever your level of success in your mentality is, and whatever that looks like, that's all you'll be able to capture. And if you were ever to capture anything that was any higher than that, you might feel it, but you're not going to have the foundation to be able to maintain it. It's going to fall apart. So like you see all these books behind me. I mean, I've read over 900 books, every single one of them, personal development, every single thing in there, because again, we go to school from first grade to 12th grade. We get taught how to be average by average people that just think that this is the way, like go to high school, go to college, get a job. This is the world. This is what the world teaches us. But I've never met somebody who had a job that ultimately said they lived their best life unless they were helping kids in some kind of way, unless they
Yeah.
were some kind of like psychiatrist and so on, changing lives, right? Like
Mhm.
usually most teachers today that I know, like some of the kids I went to school with that are teachers, they hate their job. They have to deal
Mhm.
with the stress of kids. They got to deal with, mixed nationalities. They got to deal with all this stupid stuff they keep adding into school. And they feel like they're bringing no value. Plus they're getting paid nothing. The cost of living isn't even there. So they're not even excited to show up to work anymore. For me, like I knew that the greater I want to become, Jim Rohn says it like you'll never level up until you reach the success of the amount of books that you read based on your emotional intelligence and your learning intelligence. Like you'll never be able to be to that highest level. And that's something that I tell everyone. So everyone of my coaching clients, everyone says, I hate reading. I'm like, that's cool. They have audiobooks. So you don't have, there's always, the world has become so full circle that there's always a resolution to your problem. There's always something, solution. So there's always personal development is the number one thing. And every one of my clients within 12 months, they'll read at least 12 books.
Well, I have to ask, what is one of the top books you recommend for people to
So
read?
every person is different. So I send out a questionnaire, and that questionnaire will break down exactly where that person is in life. So it could be someone who's stuck where, the foundations of conditional thinking from their parents. So then I'll have them read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Someone will be someone who is always freaking out because, they're never able to satisfy, anyone. And they always feel like they have to be pleasing everyone because they can just never do nothing right. So that would be like From Panic to Power. So all these different books will, literally align with certain people. But I have to see, like, here's the biggest thing. I was telling a guy on the phone earlier while I was doing cardio. He's like, what books should I read? I go, I don't know, because I don't know what's going on in your life. He goes, well, this guy recommended I read this book. I go, well, that guy recommended you read that book because he liked that book. Everyone recommends you read the book they just read, but they don't know where you're at. So if you ask 12 people to recommend a book to you, none of them may line up with where you are in life. Tell me where you are, tell me where you're struggling, and I'll tell you what book you need to read, because that will keep you in direction. If you read the wrong book, if you watch the wrong show and you get the wrong advice, you're going to get off track.
Ooh, I like that. I like that guidance there. Is that survey, by the way, available to people, or is it only if they work with you?
Listen, I always, it's like my pre-qualifying questionnaire, and it actually, it tells me if I can work with you or not, because a lot of people like answer questions for all the wrong reasons. And I'll simply say, like, I can't work with you, but here's what I suggest. But I would give any single person who wants me to send them a 10 question email asking about them, I would do that for anybody.
Oh, that's so nice. Well, and if anybody listens to this and they reach out to Dan, make sure you reference the podcast, please. So for somebody who's just beginning to explore the concept of consciousness, and you are a conscious coach and a conscious entrepreneur, where would you suggest that they start?
Well, this is a good question to answer, but it's going to be a hard one for most people to swallow. They have to start with honesty. And I think all of us in life, we're not honest, number one, with ourselves and other people around us. You have to sit with your own thoughts without distraction. And that's one of the hardest things for people to do. People are always nailed to their phone. They're not paying attention. They're not listening to what they need to do internally. They're not being honest about the direction they need to go in life because they're being forced wherever the noise is taking them. And you have to ask yourself, like, where are you out of alignment right now in your life? Like, what's not aligning with your life? And a lot of times it's relationships, family, maybe a certain business that's draining you, a job that maybe you just have for security. And the average person wants to run from the answer versus face it. And the truth is, and this is what's going to probably punch everyone in the gut, is that awareness is the first step to freedom. Being aware of what's going on and being honest with yourself will take you to higher levels than you could ever imagine.
Yeah. So I think we've probably all been in situations where the answer or that awareness was scary AF. Like, it's my marriage that's not aligning. I know I had that one. Or maybe it's like, oh, it's my primary income. And this, the idea of like ending in a marriage or perhaps ending a job that's their main source of income is really scary. How do you guide somebody through that once they get to that
I think
awareness?
marriage was good because I stayed in a marriage for a long time when it was unhealthy. And I think the biggest problem we make in our life is like, we're doing it for the kids. And I just got like this epiphany one day. I was just like sitting there thinking, my daughter asked me a question and she goes, why do you sleep in my bed and not in bed with mom? And, I'm like, at this time, I'm like, that's it. It's over. Like, my boys, I didn't care because my boys are boys. But so many people go, oh, when my kids are 18, I'll move out. Right. But what are you teaching your kids? So my daughter is now 15. I got divorced maybe like 7 years ago. So she's probably like 8 or 9. And her asking me that question, I said, I'm teaching my daughter that it's okay to sleep in another room and not have a romantic relationship with somebody. And what she's going to do is she's going to see my behavior and she's going to carry this on and she's going to look for a man that would do the same thing. So I need to put this to a stop right now, because if anyone's important, it's going to be her. And the sooner I can do it, the faster she's going to learn. because kids are
Yeah.
characters that play the same role that they see their parents playing, and that's what they think is normal. So I most definitely did it for her. And then as far as other people saying about work and, their career or whatever it is, I think a lot of people have the excuse where like, I'm comfortable right now, but I hate what I'm doing,
Mhm.
but I'm scared to step away because I won't be able to afford something. But I always change it and I say, well, you can't afford to stay there because you're not happy. And the longer you're not happy, the longer you're unfulfilling your life. So if it took a short amount of time for you to be disconnected to figure out what you need to do, imagine how much happier you could be. So we just put like almost like a wall in front of us and we put excuses. So I tell people like in life, you walk around with two bags. We all do until we get rid of them. One bag is excuses and one bag is blame. Once you get
Mm.
rid of both of those bags, you have such freedom in front of you and nothing matters. You just go after it.
Ooh, I like that. I like the two bag reference. That's really good. And I think also sometimes we look at these decisions of, oh, it has to change overnight. And what helped me a lot through those big changes that I've also experienced, divorce being one of them, is that you don't have to like completely change your life overnight. I mean, I'm sure it could happen, but if you take baby steps towards the right direction that you want to go in, eventually you'll be on the other side of it. And I think that makes things a lot less scary.
So here I use that comparison a lot. I talk about like the weight loss world, right?
Mhm.
I say, look how long it took someone to get super heavy and
Yep.
then they want to get surgery. And then look at what they look like. They're disgusted again at what they look like because they have all this skin. They don't know what to do with. But I'm
Mhm.
at, all right, I was super heavy. It took me 20 years to get here. I'm going to take the next 5 years and I'm going to go on a weight loss journey versus just cutting it all out of me. They wouldn't have all that skin because their body would start reforming. They would get in a place where they're breaking down. They're going to have loose skin, but not at the fact where you're taking an excess of 100 pounds away in one day. So the same thing happens in life. Like you want something that happens super quick. The next result you're not going to be happy with because it's not going to look the way it's supposed to look. So we've conditioned ourselves in a way to get where we are today. And it's taken how long? So for us to get to that next step, it's not going to take a short time. It's going to take a long time. But the minute we start growing and going in that direction is the minute we start feeling the change. We might not see
Mhm.
it, but we'll feel it. And most people, live in this whole microwave shake and bake generation where they want to hit the 30-second button and it's done. But
Yeah.
this is social media is done, everything's done, like instant success, instant everything. It doesn't work like that. And the world's made it okay for us to just be like, okay, you're not happy here, go do this, and tomorrow you'll be here. But there's never been a quick solution in life that has made anyone ever feel that good.
Yeah.
You have to work towards it.
Right. Right. And the mental growth that you gain along the way, you gain with the physical change that you're experiencing too. And I think that if they don't go hand in hand, like you said, it's really hard to maintain.
Exactly.
Well, my last question for you today is, in your view, what does it mean to live life consciously?
To me, it means living life awake, not
Mhm.
just existing. I think so many people just exist in this world. They've died at the age of 25 and they just live, as a person until their, last day is. And it's choosing your response about things instead of reacting to everything and living in values instead of validation, where a lot of people look for validation from other people versus looking at their core values and what their values are in life. And if it lines up with their values, they're worried so much about what everyone else thinks and how everyone else feels based on who they are. Like I can give two shits what people think about me. I don't care. Like, I wear a hat, a hoodie everywhere I go. If I'm on stage, I wear a t-shirt and a hat. Everyone else is in suits. I don't care. That's who I am. You know what I mean? I'm tattooed, I'm not going to hide them. I am who I am and I am where I am because of who I am. So I'm not going to change my identity and make myself like get a pair of Louis loafers because they look good to the guy in the audience. I don't give a shit about that. Right. So instead of understanding that every day is just another day, just understand that every day you're either building your legacy or you're breaking it down. And it's never going to happen, right? So conscious living is ownership to me. If you're living consciously, you're owning your life and you're taking full accountability about the person that you are and the person that you're going to become.
I love that. It was such a perfect way to end what this podcast is about, which is really being an entrepreneur of your life. Thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom and on all of this on entrepreneurship, business, and in life. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Where can people find more of you?
So I'm all over social media. My biggest platform is going to be Instagram, Big Dan Official. My website, dansakowsky.com, bigdcoaching.com. But more importantly, if you want to really, really connect with me directly, find me on Instagram. I answer all my DMs. That's the one platform that I am fully engaged on. And I don't answer every comment because there's just way too many, but I do answer ones that are good and people that I connect with. You know, I just had a guy today. He said, he messaged me. He's coming to my event. I have an event November 6th I'm hosting. And he was messaging me for like the last week. And he's like, hey, man, I just bought a ticket for your event. But what I want to tell you is I really appreciate the time you spent with me in your DMs. Because he was down. And like for anyone who's down, like I literally respond to everyone and I give people so much value. I lead with value because it's not about what everyone else, hey, you want to jump on a call, I'll tell you how I can change your life. I don't care. That doesn't matter. They're going to gravitate to you if they know you. You know, I'm not a hard seller. I'm not a hard closer. For me, I feel like everyone who's going to come into my circle and into my life are going to come for certain reasons. But the more value I could pull, again, this is like, what did you ask for? Like, what do you want people to remember you by, right? And what are you leaving behind is that, hey, he was always there for me and he didn't even know me.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. And also for those that listen, you know, I have to say, I vet every guest and you know, sometimes it's easier than others, but I've had a chance to talk to you a few times and work with you a little bit. And every time I do, I'm always impressed by your kindness and generosity. And so I just want to say thank you so much. You're really a true, authentic person, and it's a pleasure to know you.
Appreciate it. Yeah, you asked for something in business. I didn't hesitate. I said, sure, no problem. I connected with you. Now I'm a connector. Like whatever it is, whatever I can do to help you. Hey, you know, it may not help me, it may not reciprocate to me, but you know what? My kids will feel it long term.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you're the real deal. And also your podcast, Big D podcast. I don't think we mentioned that, but wanted to give that a shout out. And you do also have another one too. You have two, right?
Yeah, Big D podcast, which is a solo podcast. It just like really breaks down a topic every week. And then we have the Intrepidus podcast, which is the Latin word of fearless. We bring on business owners. I believe you're coming on in a few months, right? Or next month.
Yes. Thank you.
The Intrepidus podcast, we talk about anyone who's either an entrepreneur, in business, a person of significance, anyone who had to overcome fear to get to that next step in their life, you know, how they're going through it, what keeps them up at night, and how they are going to challenge themselves to become the best version of themselves moving forward.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, we'll be sure to link all of that information below. So thanks again, Dan. Thank you all for listening and being here on the Clarity to Consciousness podcast. I'm Kristen Lee Griffiths. And until next time, stay curious, live consciously, and keep seeking clarity. Much love. Bye for now.
See ya.
Before we part ways, I want to express my deepest gratitude to each and every one of you for tuning in. Your curiosity and openness make this journey all the more meaningful. As we navigate the realms of consciousness together, please follow our podcast for more captivating conversations. If you enjoyed what you heard, why not share the love, rate and review on your favorite platform, and help us reach more seekers on this enlightening path. And hey, the conversation doesn't end here. Dive into the show notes for additional insights, resources, and details about today's discussion. Your journey to clarity continues beyond this episode. Thank you so much for being a part of the Clarity to Consciousness community. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the boundless possibilities of your consciousness. Take care and much love to you all.